Chris Honeycutt, the former NCAA runner-up, roared out of the gates as a pro at welterweight. Now he's back on track at 185, just one professional loss, just like this man. The Ivy Leaguer out of Penn, Ben Reiter, he's piled up a gaudy record on the periphery of the division. Tonight he steps into the spotlight, the biggest fight of his still young career. The tail of the tape in the opener, brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
This was supposed to be a middleweight fight. Long story behind it, but they weighed in at a limit, an agreed upon limit of 195. Ben Reiter spent his whole career at middleweight. He's the much bigger man tonight.
Our night begins with a big fight at middleweight, and it begins as always with Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Tonight, Miller Lite presents Bellator MMA from WinStar World Casino and Resort. We begin now with 3 5-minute rounds brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. And now, first introducing the blue corner. At 6 foot, weighing in 194.1 pounds, his professional record, 17 wins, just 1 loss with 1 draw. By way of Albuquerque, New Mexico, he fights out of Lima, Peru. Introducing Ben the Hunter Reiter. And across the cage, his adversary fighting out of the red corner at 5'10", weighing in 194 pounds even. As a professional, he brings 8 victories, just 1 defeat. Fighting out of Fresno, California, presenting Chris "The Cut" Honeycutt. And when the bell rings, the referee in charge of the action, Big John McCarthy.
Great to see you guys. The fascinating thing to me about this matchup, Ben Reiter's piled up that gaudy record, but he has rarely had to do it against a wrestler of equal or maybe even better caliber.
I would say definitely better caliber, not just Division I wrestler, not just an All-American, a guy who made the national finals, D1 for Edinburgh. He's wrestled some of the best. Actually has a win over Ed Roof, if that tells you anything.
The fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Cheers. It's Miller time. Chris Honeycutt lost that national championship to an Ivy Leaguer, by the way.
Cornell.
He was ahead in that match against Cam Simmons, 4-2. It was a come-from-behind win for Cornell. They had a big day in 2012 in St. Louis at the NCAAs. Ben Reiter in the blue gloves. It's a great story. Honeycutt grabbed that leg and he has not been let go. Look at Ben Reiter use the fence to try to escape the takedown.
Blatantly holding on to it. Might be cut already. You see some blood on his shin. Could have scraped it on the fence. That's an important statement. Maybe you can take me down, but you can't hold me down.
Let's go, Ben Reiter.
Ben Reiter, after finishing at Penn, moved to Peru as part of a program to help teach English. And he ended up falling in love with the country, falling in love with a young woman that became his wife. Now they have 2 kids, live there. His charity work is extraordinary that he does. The people of Peru, goes back and forth to Jackson Wink. Train, Honeycutt again, goes for that same leg.
Look at the flexibility of Ben Reiter. He had that leg up to his shoulder. That's it again. The difference in high-level wrestling is that second and third effort. If they don't get the single leg, they'll drop levels again and go for that double leg. Very, very tenacious.
This is a start for Chris Honeycutt, like we saw a lot of his early fights at welterweight.
Yeah, beasting guys. Difference is he's having trouble keeping Ben Reiter down. And takedowns expend a lot of energy. Use your whole body. You don't want to get one, just have a guy pop up again.
So he got a little more cautious. Remember that 1 loss came to Paul Bradley. He got a little careless in the opening round. Got knocked out early in that fight. Said just the start of things this weekend. Unprecedented doubleheader tomorrow night. The main event, the rematch of one of the most shocking finishes in MMA in 2016. The upset win for Baby Joe Timinglo. He rematches with Darian Caldwell. Caldwell lost the fight, but Baby Joe did not make weight in July, and that's the reason Baby Joe is not fighting for the world title, and Joe Warren is. He'll have to beat Darian Caldwell again to get that title shot.
Explained it before, you don't make weight, it's like being late for work. You're never gonna get promoted, you'll always be passed over. He made weight for this fight, made weight today, so he wins. He's in line for that title shot.
There's a lot of consternation about that. A lot of people asking, you know, hey, did Baby Joe make weight? Is he gonna make weight? And he did. Big main event tomorrow night. See Andre Filou tomorrow night. If you haven't seen him at welterweight, he is a monster trying to stay unbeaten. Big step up against Chidi and Jukawani.
One of the most awkward guys to fight in the welterweight division. Chris Honeycutt showing some confidence with his strikes. Now you see here, Honeycutt got the takedown. Reiter's able to get back up. So he showed you can take me down, you can't hold me down. But so far, Ben Reiter hasn't shown his offensive talent on the feet yet. It's been Honeycutt being the one who got his offense going with the takedown.
Reiter turned him a little bit on that takedown attempt.
Oh, nice knee
through. You know what's back here for Chris Honeycutt has won his last 2 fights, but after his first loss, the swag was gone. Now it's starting to come back.
But also, that can be a good thing. He's not this overconfident guy who's walking in thinking he's going to maul everybody. He's aware of his own vulnerabilities, and that's a big step as a fighter. You can get knocked out too.
Just the 6th time Ben Reiter has actually fought in the U.S. So many of his pro fights have come in Peru. You never know about the level of competition. Obviously, he was undefeated there. His only loss came to Kiko France when he got caught in the 2nd round. He was very impressive beating A.J. Matthews.
Nice right hand by Honeycutt.
Middleweight division that is wide open.
And what Ben Reiter is facing is something you can't fight in America and avoid. A top-level wrestler. Not a lot of those in Peru.
Strong opening round for Chris Honeycutt.
Look at the takedown of Chris Honeycutt, elevating that leg. Great flexibility by Ben Reiter, but Ben Reiter could not stop the takedown. Once again, double leg, getting around the guard. Knee on the feet. Honeycutt's round.
We want to hear from you. Hashtag Bellator MMA. We usually want to hear from you. Can't speak for everybody on every single thing.
I do.
That is part of it.
I do.
You do. You love it.
I appreciate you.
You love your internet friends.
I do.
mean, there's no question about that.
Honeycutt talked before this fight about, you know, I've always been a wrestler, I'm great at it, I want to test out my other skills. That's sometimes a bad sign for a wrestler to say that, but he's looked good on the feet. I'm liking what I'm seeing so far with his kickboxing, with his offense. He looks good.
Honeycutt immediately goes for the cage. Prevent the takedown. And we talked about both these guys just having the 1 loss, and it is almost an automatic refrain when you talk to a fighter about his first. Well, I learned this. A loss is the best thing. Yeah. Chris Honeycutt said, "I didn't learn anything from that loss. That was not a good thing. Nothing good came from it. Hated it. You know, that was his."
He can say that, but he's a different guy, and he's better for it.
A featherweight world champion, and I would imagine before too long you'll be hearing some news about the featherweight world champion returning to the Bellator cage to defend his title. A lot of conversation about guys like Daniel Weichel. Could there be a Strauss Pitbull 4 on the horizon in early 2017? I would watch a Strauss Pitbull 8.
There are no easy ones at 145. That is for sure. And Pitbull Strauss, they've given us classics every time. You know, Reiter just kind of waiting for the perfect moment. One thing about Honeycutt, he's not throwing beautiful, sweet, clean lines, but he's throwing. He's being busy. He's being active. Ben Reiter kind of waiting for his moment. Sometimes a whole fight goes by and you don't find it.
Honeycutt lost his footing that time.
But lands right in single leg position.
High-level wrestlers, that is how they wake up. You wake up in those positions. It is just second nature. Down to the ground goes Reiter. Down low in the new and improved Bellator MMA mobile app for exclusive videos, fighter stats, upcoming events, ticket info, and you can become the 4th judge. Score every round live with other fans. Available now for iOS and Android.
Nice position by Honeycutt, landing those short shots.
Logic, which rarely plays out, would tell us that the heavier weight that they agreed to fight at would favor Reiter.
Yes. He's naturally the bigger guy. Honeycutt having no problems. And this is a guy who wrestled at 197. He's used to taking on big guys. We talked about, how much of your camp before, when you were at 170, was weight maintenance. He said a little less than half, about 40–45% of the time. I didn't touch a weight for like 5 years.
After his win over Matt Secor in April, he said he got way over 200 pounds. That was sort of aided the decision to fight at middleweight.
And so far, against a big middleweight, he's looked good. Miko Parlo, his debut in Bellator at middleweight, a smaller middleweight, a European middleweight. This guy, Ben Reiter, he's a giant at 185, and so far, Chris Honeycutt, I have him ahead in this fight. But you see the waiting of Ben Reiter. It's like he's waiting for the perfect opportunity to maybe counter over the top or something. He's just not being busy enough.
As if he's looking at something he didn't expect to be seeing.
Yeah, exactly. Then you got to take advantage of moments like that. Your guy throws a wild kick. Got to take advantage. Got to close distance, launch a counter, and Ben Reiter right now just looking at it.
Next Saturday afternoon in Florence, Italy, Rafael Carvalho and Melvin Manoff for the middleweight world title. Who is next on that list? We talked about the Bellator divisions at 170 getting so crazy deep, 155, 145. But there's some opportunity at middleweight to make a quick move to the top. That's what Chris Honeycutt is trying to do. And he has looked good here through 2 rounds. Through 2. Great programs Bellator has been involved in. We've seen some of those great bow fights. It's been a great fight for Chris Honeycutt through 2 rounds. Ray Jackson, Ben Reiter's corner, they're not pulling any punches themselves. You're down 2-0. You need the knockout. You got to go forward. Not much question about these two.
2 rounds, both 10-9 to Chris Honeycutt. The issue here is you never want to be down 2 rounds to none in a 3-round fight. A point where you have to do something. But against a wrestler who can ice around just taking you down over and over again, it's even worse. Honeycutt, though, throwing some wild strikes.
Remember, he got caught by Bradley in a scramble.
Yep. And Reiter just can't seem to pull the trigger, even though Honeycutt's moving forward, throwing a lot of kicks. Hands aren't that high. Ben Reiter just can't take advantage.
It's almost as if the game plan went out the window in the first 15 seconds when Chris Honeycutt came out so aggressive.
Yep.
That couldn't have been a surprise.
And another thing is that Honeycutt has TKO wins. They're generally ground and pound counts. He's not the hardest puncher in the world. I'm surprised Reiter isn't going, screw it, walking through, let's get an exchange. Maybe I can land that big shot. Korish Kavlima style, step in, take a few, but land that big shot. I'm the bigger guy. Hasn't seemed willing to do that.
And it is Honeycutt who remains most aggressive. The overhand right and the level change. And back to the ground goes Reiter.
Here we go.
Reiter hunting guillotine, but not going to get it from there.
No hips. No hips, no guillotine. Hunting single leg, not going to get that. Going Kimura.
Too many tools. Too many toys to play with.
Yep, and Honeycutt's always in the position to use his tools. Ben Reiter has not been so far.
Chris Honeycutt has 2 wins since that first loss, but this has been his most impressive, easily.
You're good. You're good.
In an Iranian position, head in the middle. Got to get your hips lower to finish that, and you can't do it.
Both Division I wrestlers, but Chris Honeycutt,
different level.
Got to the
different level.
Absolute top. So close to a national championship, a 4-2 lead late in the second period. His national championship match, 197, 2012 in St. Louis. If you think that doesn't haunt him, get to know Chris Honeycutt.
Yeah, hates losing. Nice leg kick.
There are 2 different kinds of guys.
Nice right hand.
Yep, that one's stunned Reiter. The ones who love winning and the ones who hate losing. Yep. It's 2 different things.
What I've noticed a lot of times is great athletes, great fighters have both. They have a little bit of both in them. Or maybe a lot of both in them. Great step over. Wasn't going to let him take his back.
This is where Chris Honeycutt has scored his knockouts. On the ground, John McCarthy taking a step in.
Gut check time for Ben Reiter. Do you want to see the fight on bell or not?
This is Chris Honeycutt at his best.
And he is cut badly. That blood running back into his eyes. He cannot see these punches coming.
Just about the final bell now for Ben Reiter. There is no suspense in this one.
40 seconds.
In front of his coach, Crazy Bob Cook. He knows he has this fight in the bag. He knows how much time is left.
30 seconds.
Talk about establishing yourself in the middleweight division. I think Chris Honeycutt just did it.
Both hooks in.
Come on, man, you gotta move. Let's go.
A great start for Chris Honeycutt, a better finish. And that Chris Honeycutt express train that got derailed for a little bit is back on track. This was a run-over performance for Chris Honeycutt.
Stay right there, Doc's gonna look. Get you real quick, baby.
Full marks to Ben Reiter for making it to the final bell. That's not as easy at 195 as it is at 170.
Not quite the same weight.
But 25 pounds more power behind those hands and that ground and pound of Chris Honeycutt. Let's check out the Black Card Premium Spice Rum Replay, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
And what did we talk about? We talked about Chris Honeycutt and his willingness to strike, his tools outside of his wrestling. A lot of it the right hand, a lot of it those kicks. He stepped in at exactly the right time to land power punches, and he stayed so busy. Ben Reiter just couldn't keep up with him, never found his own offense, and here at the end, this was the only fight-stopping moment of the fight. In half guard, putting it on Ben Reiter. Great job with the left hand. Ran out of time. If this had been early in the fight, earlier in the round, might have had a TKO. As it is, gets a clear decision.
Back on the map, making a big impact at 185. We'll get the official word from Chris Honeycutt next. Sometimes, Jimmy, numbers can be misleading. Sometimes they're not.
They tell the story, not just of this fight, but of his career.
Chris Honeycutt, impressive start to finish. Let's make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance inside the Bellator cage, we'll go to your 3 judges. Your first judge, Todd Anderson, scores the fight 30-26, while judges at cage side, Dan Mathieson and Steve Armstrong, both see the fight the same at 30-25. I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision, Chris "The Cut" Honeycutt.
5-10-8 rounds for Chris Honeycutt out of a possible 9. in a dominant unanimous decision win, and improves him to 9-1. He gets his second straight win at middleweight in a wide open division, and you needed an eye-opening performance. That was one.
I think that's exactly what he had. Dominant from the beginning to the end, and he showed he can finish a fight when he can't finish a fight. He didn't need to get the finish, but he finished strong in round 3. That's an important statement.